Suicide Guy is one of those games that I liked, but didn't love. While it was cute and some of the puzzles were clever, I was ultimately left cold by the technical problems and frustrating 3D platforming. But despite my complaints, I was immediately on board when I heard that Chubby Pixel planned on releasing a standalone expansion called Suicide Guy, Sleepin Deeply. That game is finally here, and while it doesn't fix the issues that I had with the original release, it does go a long way to confirm that this is a series with something unique to offer. If you skipped the first Suicide Guy, don't worry about it. This is the continuing adventures of a schlubby Homer Simpson type who likes to sit on the couch, watch TV, and drink beer. This time around, a commercial reminds our hero that he has an extra potent beer chilling in the fridge. Unfortunately, he wasn't prepared for the high alcohol level and passes out, only to once again be forced to figure out creative ways to kill himself in a bunch of crazy new dreams. This inexpensive companion game brings us 6 wildly different stages that'll take the average gamer 3 or 4 hours to complete. What I like is that these dreams are a lot longer and more drawn out than what we saw in the first game, making us go through all sorts of different steps in order to meet our violent demise. They remind me of the very last few dreams we saw in the original Suicide Guy, only this time around they're a lot bigger and more involved. Now, the reason all this works so well is because the developers are smart about mixing things up from one puzzle to the next. You'll go from a wide open driving stage to a narrow platforming puzzle, with each looking completely different. There's a weird stage where you're cleaning up behind a real-life Tamagotchi, and one that's all about filling up the largest bottle of beer you've ever seen. There isn't a whole lot of repetition here, and there are even a few different types of puzzles in each stage. I liked most of these levels, though there are a couple that drag on a little too long. I was initially disappointed that there were only 6 new stages, but it's hard to argue against the size and variety. And given the price, it certainly feels like fans of the game will get their money's worth with Sleepin Deeply. Sadly, most of the complaints I leveled against Suicide Guy also apply to this game. The 3D platforming, for example, is a nightmare. First-person jumping has vexed a lot of developers, and it's only made worse here by the laggy input. This is especially bad in the first few stages, where much of the action revolves around racing through the obstacles and jumping on timed platforms. The slow and sometimes unresponsive gameplay makes these stages miserable, and it's a terrible way to start an otherwise fun puzzle game. Sleepin Deeply is also a little too easy. Sure, there are a couple of head-scratching moments here and there, but most of the solutions are straightforward. There's even a stage where they flat out tell you exactly how to complete the puzzle. What I'd like to see is a version of Suicide Guy that has more confidence in the player's puzzle-solving prowess. I hope the next game Chubby Pixels makes is a little tougher. Although it only has 6 stages and won't take you long to beat, Suicide Guy Sleepin Deeply is a charming standalone expansion pack that is worth the budget price. It works both as an introduction to the series and a proper extension to the original, all while giving us wildly varied stages and a lot of fun puzzles. The occasional gameplay issue and lack of difficulty hurts the game, but not enough to keep me from recommending Suicide Guy Sleepin Deeply. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. Do you like this kind of standalone expansion game, or do you prefer when the expansion pack is tied directly into the original game? I don't see people talking about this very much, so I'm curious to see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, I'm currently hard at work on a massive new episode of Game Over, the early years, as well as the return of Electronic Gaming Monthly's best and worst. Next week's gonna be crazy. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.